Hi, today I'm going to be painting a glowing molten sword. So in this video I'm going to be aiming to paint a molten sword as if those have been pulled freshly from the forge. That means dark around the edges but a glowing light yellow running right through the middle. I'm going to be doing this on the sword of Mephiston, the lead librarian of the Blood Angels. In order to make this video nice and short, I have already painted the rest of the model and we're just going to focus on the sword. The very first thing needed is to make sure that the sword has an even white coat all over it. If your model was not primed white, then simply paint it with multiple thin layers to get that smooth, crisp white. My main technique through this process is going to be layering up colours around the edge of the blade. I'm going to be getting darker and covering a smaller area each time round, getting closer to the edge of the sword. Now, the paints I'm going to be using are Flash Kits Yellow, Jaquero Orange, Evil Sun Scarlet, Mephiston Red, Doomball Brown and Rhinox Hide for the very darkest bits. The first colour we are going to apply is the yellow. The reason for making sure we had such a strong white base is because yellow is notoriously bad at letting other colours show through it. But if that colour is white, then that kind of works in our favour, as it makes the blade look even hotter in the centre. All we want with the yellow is an even coverage, so cover the whole sword. From here onwards we're going to be following a kind of pattern for applying the colours. Firstly, it will be a mix of the yellow and orange, covering a large portion of the blade but leaving the centre yellow. Then it will be just the orange and covering a slightly smaller area. After that we will mix the orange with the Evil Sun Scarlet, again covering even less than last time. And then we will follow this pattern of making our way from light to dark by mixing colours and taking up less and less space on the blade each time. This will create a transition from the light middle colour to the darker edge. As for how we're actually going to be applying the paint, I did it in a feathering motion. This is when, instead of doing long strokes to cover a large area, use lots of tiny strokes close together. Although we're just using this method to create a smooth transition between layers, it's also an excellent method for creating textures. I used it on the sword to create irregularity on the blade rather than one clean line of colours. You can choose to jump from colour to colour if you wish, instead of mixing between each one like I have. This will speed up the process for sure, but mixing them will create a much smoother transition. As we get to the end of layering all these colours, I apply a yellow glaze, made from the original yellow and a load of water. This goes over the whole blade and helps unify all the colours. Lastly, I go ahead and do a thin line of white down the very centre of the blade to add a small and final highlight. I'm pretty happy with how this sword came out, considering I've never done this sword technique before. And I'm really enjoying doing these smaller videos where I focus in on a tiny part of the miniature. I've got at least one more in mind, which is going to be a plasma coil tutorial, but if you have any that you would like to see, then please let me know down in the comments. I think it might be fun to do maybe a blood and slime video, or maybe even some of my zoanthropes for the Tyranids I've got have a nice crackled and weathered effect on their carapace. I'd be interested in doing a tutorial for that as well. So if you have any ideas at all, just leave a comment down below and I may consider it for a future video. Aside from that, we're all done with today's video. Nice and short. So please make sure if you liked the video to give it a thumbs up, consider hitting that subscribe button and come back for more content in the future. You can also find me on Instagram and support the channel through Patreon for behind the scenes access and early access to videos, and I also have a website. I will leave all of those links in the description below. But with all that, we are done. So thank you for watching and I shall see you later.